we follow when they are talking about what kind of regulations are to be followed when they are talking about getting foreign exchange into a country. We shall discuss these aspects in today's session. Let us see what is a foreign exchange market first. Foreign exchange market is nothing but one where an individual, a company, or a bank of a country usually buys foreign exchange currency. Now, it so happens that the foreign exchange currencies of the currencies of different countries of the world are different. We do not have a single currency which is used in different countries. So countrywide, you have different currencies which are being used. We all know rupees in India, dollars in US, pounds in UK, euro in European Union, so you yen in other countries of the world, majority of them. So you would have, different currencies which are there, but there are certain transactions in the international market for which you would be requiring that your country's currency gets converted into the foreign country's currency. So then how does that happen? That happens only when you buy the foreign country's currency. So here you are paying in terms of your currency to get the currency of a foreign country. That's nothing but your foreign exchange market. So foreign exchange market is basically a place or a market where dealings which are related to buying and selling of foreign currencies happen. Now, these dealings are basically because different countries of the world have got different types of currencies. And these currencies are bought not only by firms, but they are also being bought by individuals. They are also being bought by banks. They are also being bought and sold by foreign exchange brokers. So it's a place or an arrangement. It need not be a physical location as such because it is all done through major trading centers also. So it basically it could also be taking place through online mode. So you have basically a place, a location where you have the foreign countries' currencies are being bought and sold, which is called as foreign market. You call it as the foreign exchange market is used in the form of an acronym called FX market or forex market. So forex market, FX market, or foreign exchange markets mean one and the same, a market where foreign currencies of different countries are being bought and sold. Now let us see what are the features of these foreign exchange markets. The first feature is location. There is no one single location for this particular foreign exchange market because it's not like, you go to a supermarket to buy vegetables or something and then there are spots where vegetables are available. Or neither is it like a clothing store where you go and buy clothes. But it is because different countries of the world are there who are transacting with their currencies. You would have not a single centrally located market, but you would have markets which are interconnected with one another because different types of currencies are being used in different countries. Most of the trading centers which are very popular in the world are to do with the London stock market, the New York stock market. You have Tokyo Trading Center, Hong Kong, Singapore Trading Center. These are the most popular trading centers where the foreign currencies are bought and sold. So these are all interconnected with one another. So per se, you don't have a central location, where you do clearances of buying and selling of these foreign currency. Um, it is basically related to, all types of markets where trading is actually taking place. So let us examine the other features which are there. The first one is location. Second one is size of the market. Now, foreign exchange market is one of the biggest markets in the world because this market is one which is providing liquidity to the entire world. We understand liquidity as in terms of availability of money to the world. So when you say liquidity and availability of money to the whole world, foreign exchange market is the market which provides money to the entire world. So you are talking about dealings which are happening in, hundreds of millions of dollars and euros and pounds and yen or franc and rupees and all. So you have it is one of the most needed market in the world because it provides liquidity to the entire world. So you have the size of the market there, which is very large. It is one of the largest markets in the world which is there. And this market does not operate based on timings. It operates 24/7 because countries have got different time zones.
So therefore, you cannot say that the market operates only from 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, but this has to go around the clock because of the different time zones of the different countries in the world. So you have 24/7 this market operates. So the any point of time, any individual or any country can buy or sell their currency in this particular market. So it is open 24/7. And these markets all are interconnected with technology. So you have all the communication channels with which they are interconnected as such. So therefore, the communication networks which have to be there in the country should be very well developed, so that these markets are well connected with one another. Because if the communication networks are not well developed, then it becomes difficult for this particular market to operate. So therefore, this has to have a very well network of communication. That is also one of the essential features of a forex market. Then, as I said, the major currencies which are traded are the currencies of the developed countries of the world, which are more in demand by people across the world. So, somebody traveling to USA would want currency in the form of dollars to be spent there. So, you have to shell out rupees in order to buy dollars. Same way, an importer from India who has to pay to an exporter of, say, for example, in a European country, then you would have to pay in terms of euro. So you need rupees to be spent out in order to buy euros. So the major currencies of the world which are being traded, there are, dollar, yen, pound. Almost all the currencies are being traded, but the majority of the currencies traded are these of the developed countries in the world. Then you have a physical market. As I said, it need not be a physical location. It can also be an interconnected market, which is connected through your communication networks. But in some places of the world, you also have a physical market where the dealings take place. For example, in Paris and Brussels, you have the foreign exchange transactions which take place through their local stock exchanges only. So the like how we have in India and SABSE, the local stock exchanges which are there in Paris and Brussels, it is through their stock exchanges only that the foreign currencies are being bought and sold. So you don't have you there you have a physical location, but in many other countries it need not be a physical location where you are trading the foreign currency. And this particular forex market, this can be classified into two types. You have a market which is retail forex, and you have a market which is wholesale forex. When you say retail forex, you are basically talking about individuals who are buying currency. As I was telling, if you're traveling as a tourist, as a traveler, if you're traveling as a student and you have to meet your expenses of your fee and stay in that country, then you are an individual person, a citizen of a country, and then you are buying the foreign currency of another country. So that way, you would say that this is a retail forex market where an individual is buying the foreign currency of a particular country. Similarly, you also have a wholesale forex market where you talk about large firms, corporate houses which are involved in the transactions of foreign currency. You would have, companies which are buying, the multinational companies, transnational companies which are there, who require foreign currency for import export, who require foreign currency for repatriation of profits, who require foreign currency for payment of salaries and to their employees abroad, who require foreign currency for any other kind of procurement of raw material, payments to be made to different kinds of stakeholders. For all of them, you would be requiring foreign currency. So here you talk about the wholesale foreign exchange market where your firms, your companies are being engaged there. So that is also a part of your forex market. Then you have, there are a lot of factors which influence how a foreign exchange rate is being determined. The economic policy of a country, the government, the economic conditions in a particular country, what kind of political environment is there in a country, what kind of ties a country has got with the other countries of the world. All those factors are there which have an impact on how foreign exchange rates are being determined. Then we talk about who all can participate in the foreign exchange market. So, who all are the participants of the foreign market? Firstly, you would have commercial banks. These are the ones who are operate who buy as well as sell foreign currency on behalf of their clients. So you would have, the commercial banks which would have NRI accounts, and these NRIs may instruct they may instruct the banks to buy or sell foreign currency on their behalf. So therefore, the banker will act as a agent there, and he would be doing the buying and selling on behalf of the client. So you would have commercial banks which play an important role in forex market. Almost all the major commercial banks would want you to open a NRI account, and then through that particular account you can buy or sell the foreign currency which is there. So here, in case the transactions are very small, then in that particular case, they can also be using foreign exchange brokers. But if the transactions are of a huge amount, then the bank itself may deal directly. So it depends. Say, for example, if I as an individual, I am traveling for a conference to a foreign country, I may not require huge amount of money. I may be requiring maybe conversion of some, small amount like 40,000 of rupees, Indian rupees, or 50,000 of Indian rupees into that country's currency, where I may stay for 1 or 2 days and then come back. So I may not be requiring, millions of rupees there. I may be requiring little money. So there the banker can direct the foreign exchange brokers to do the work. On the other hand, if there is a firm which is doing, which wants to raise foreign currency by selling Indian currency, then they may request the bank to do it, and bank may do it directly. They need not have to do it through the broker as such. And there are also banks which specialize, in this activity of foreign exchange dealings. So you have, and they keep, a good stock of foreign exchanges with them, which may be popularly demanded by their clients. So that way, bankers will be one of the first participants who are there in the forex market. Then you have entrepreneurs and business houses who are the players, because they would be needing money to be raised in the international market. International investors may be sending money in the form of FDI, FII, portfolio investment. So these people may be wanting to send money to India, and therefore you would require foreign exchange to be bought and managed in your country. So therefore, the business entrepreneurs will be the second participants who are there in the forex market. These will be the people, the business houses, the entrepreneurs, and the corporates. They may be requiring foreign exchange in order to operate their international transactions. In case your company has got presence in the international market, then how do you go about making payments, or how do you go about settling payments in the international scenario? Then you will talk about, these entrepreneurs and corporate houses who may be operating in the foreign exchange, so that they can meet their needs which are related to raising money, that is investment capital needs, or needs which are related to simple trading, for daily basis, buying and selling, import export. For that also they may be requiring. So you would have corporates and entrepreneurs who may be requiring. Then you would have the foreign exchange brokers. Foreign exchange brokers basically will buy foreign currency on behalf of client. They don't buy on their own. They buy on behalf of clients, and they will charge a brokerage fee. So usually, as I said, if the nature of the transaction is small, where you don't involve a huge amount of foreign money, then even banks will assign this work to foreign exchange brokers. So brokers can be there who will undertake the maintenance of foreign exchange inflows and outflows on behalf of banks also, and on behalf of individuals also. But they will charge a brokerage fee as such, and these brokers would be registered brokers, because you cannot have foreign exchange transactions unless the FEMA permits under their regulation. So you have, earlier in India we had a Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, which got replaced with Foreign Exchange Management Act. So FERA was there earlier, then they converted FERA into FEMA. So in case any bank, any individual, any broker, any corporate house, any entrepreneur wants to raise money in foreign currency by selling Indian money, then they have to abide by all the guidelines which are given under FEMA Act, Foreign Exchange Management Act. So even these brokers also have to follow the same. So you would have banks, you have individuals in the form of corporates and entrepreneurs, then you have foreign exchange brokers who are there in the forex market. Then you have central bank of the country. In India, RBI is there. So all the central banks of all the countries also do buying and selling of foreign currency. usually what happens, when the rate in the market of your currency reaches your upper limit, then bank basically would want to sell away its currency in exchange for the other currency. So and when your currency's rate is going down in the market, then the bank may want to buy its currency and sell foreign currencies which are there in the market. So that way you would have central bank of a country. This in detail again we'll discuss when we talk about exchange rate determination. How do central banks and how do they actually, when prices go up or when prices come down, what actually happens? So this is done through something called as exchange control. We have a separate topic on exchange control because RBI is the central bank in our country. They are the custodians of foreign exchange reserves. So all the foreign currency movements which happen in a country are all regulated and monitored by the central bank of a country. So central bank will from time to time take updates from commercial banks, from foreign exchange brokers, and all as to how much money has been flowing in and out and of the country under the FEMA Act. They would need to understand the dealings which are happening in foreign currency. So central bank is also a participant there. Then you have non-bank foreign exchange companies. These are, some of the international payment companies. They can also be private companies which can be there. For example, I like how you have GPay, PhonePe, and all e-wallets which we use within the country. Likewise, you have PayPal. When you're doing transactions in the international market, they can also make use of PayPal. Like how you also have Visa and Mastercard and all as platforms which you're using for transacting in Indian market. Same way, you have these non-bank foreign exchange companies which also have permissions in order to carry on international receipts and international payments, like to private individuals and to companies and all. They are also a kind of a player in the international in the forex market. Then you have money transfer remittance companies. Money transfer remittance companies would be like, you would have independent companies that are only doing the business of transfer of money. Like you have Western Union. So you want to send money to your people who are staying abroad. Your salaries which you earn in a foreign country can be sent back to your country through Western Union. You have also UAE exchanges which are there, and because most of the Indians who are there are all residing either in US, UK, or Gulf. Most of these people make use of Western Union in order to have transactions, of sending back the money to their people in their respective countries. So you have money transfer remittance companies also, which are a part of the foreign exchange market. Then you have the foreign exchange banks. These are, basically like joint stock banks, which are there in foreign countries. And these banks operate in the other countries. Their duty is only to do financing of foreign trade. They will not undertake any other activity other than foreign trade, like how you have Apex Bank called Exim Bank in India. So Export Import Bank, which takes care of financing exports and import. So like that, you have got around 30 foreign exchange banks which are there in India, all of them being controlled by the Exim Bank, which becomes the apex body in the foreign exchange scenario. So you have these as some of the players who are there. You have commercial banks, brokers, individuals or entrepreneurs and corporate houses. Then you have private firms which can be there, central bank of a country, non-bank finance company, and remittance companies, who are all the players in the forex market, right? Next, proceeding towards what are the functions of the foreign exchange market? What functions do foreign exchange markets perform? The first function that they perform is transfer function, because exchange of money is the main thing that they do. So the most important function is the transfer function, where they will purchase currency of one country, convert the currency of that country into the currency of another country, and then deal with the transaction. So and the rate at which one country's currency gets converted into another country's currency, you call it as the exchange rate. So when I'm trying to buy, when I'm trying to spend, for example, 90 rupees in order to buy $1, then the exchange rate here is $1 is equal to 90 rupees. So that way, that will be the exchange rate of rupee in terms of dollars. So you talk about the rate at which one currency is being converted into another currency. into another currency, which we call as exchange rate. Of your forex market here is transfer function, where they carry on transfer of money uh, in foreign market by using different kinds of instruments. You can use instruments such as telegraphic transfers, mail transfers, bank drafts, foreign bills of exchange can be there, through which the transfer function can get implemented, which can be there nowadays, because the banking system has become very powerful in almost all the countries of the world. So you have most of the transfer functions which are being implemented or which take action through banks only. So that is one function of the foreign exchange. Under this transfer function, you also have something called as SWIFT. SWIFT is nothing but Society of Worldwide Interbank Financial Transactions. It is like a cooperative society. Basically, because Paris and Brussels are the countries which have got a physical location where foreign exchange transactions take place. So this society is registered in Brussels. So you have the SWIFT, which is a Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Transaction. That means all the banks of the world buying or selling foreign currency, they are registered under this particular cooperative society of Brussels. And about 250 banks which are there are its members, almost all the banks across the world. As it mentions, some of the banks in India are also its members. Now, SWIFT basically also does transmission of money, transmission of information of foreign exchange currency, and transmission of money. It's like a cooperative society. Banks wanting to buy foreign currency, they can approach SWIFT also in order to buy foreign currency, because it's a cooperative society. The transfer function can take place through SWIFT. Then transfer function can also take place through CHIPS, which is nothing but a clearinghouse interbank payment system. The very word clearinghouse, where you talk about how one bank and the other bank are settling transactions with one another. So this is an electronic payment mechanism. So and you would have 12 banks of the world who are actually acting as a clearinghouse association in the New York. So here in New York, when you have this association, that is CHIPS, most of the banks will do their interbank payments through chips only. So that is also one mechanism through which banks can carry on transfer, either through a cooperative society in Brussels or either through this clearinghouse in USA. You can do your transfers through a bank. Then the bank can also do foreign exchange transfers through something called as CHAPS, which is Clearinghouse Automated Payment System. So, Clearinghouse Automated Payment System, this is in London. So, the earlier one, CHIPS, was in US. Now, this one is in UK. So, you have this also, which most of the banks across the world also use this. Then you have FedWire. FedWire is also a system which was developed by the Federal Reserve System in USA, because in USA the entire your monetary system is being controlled by the Federal Reserve, and the banks which are associated with that. So you have, in USA, this particular FedWire which is there, which does these clearances which are there. So the transfer functions get implemented through your FedWire system, which was developed in the USA, where you have these forex banks which are there, and all the banks which are under the Federal Reserve Bank, they all will have a communication network. Through that particular communication network, it gets implemented. The transfer function gets implemented, right? So this is the first function. We are talking about what are the functions of a foreign exchange market. So the first function of the foreign exchange market is transfer. Transfer can happen through SWIFT, through CHIPS, through CHAPS, or through FedWire. These are the four mechanisms through which central banks of countries can do transfers. That is the first one. The second function is credit function. Now, foreign exchange market will provide credit within the country as well as outside the country, because the importers and exporters may not be having currencies in their hand to buy and sell. So the forex market will also provide them with lines of credit. These lines of credit can be in two ways. You can have credit which can be export credit. When an exporter wants to carry on the export function, he also has to incur certain costs. Similarly, importer also has to incur costs which are there associated with the import. So when the exporter and importer has to incur these costs, they require some mechanism through which a loan can be granted to them, or they can take credit in the foreign currency. So your forex markets will provide the credit function also. They will provide credit both nationally, that is within the country, to any importer exporter. At the same time, they can take credit even from international forex markets which are there outside the country. So internationally and nationally also, you can seek credit support for executing your import export activities which are there. Now, the moment you say export credit, banks basically provide two types of export credit. One is post shipment and one is pre shipment. Pre shipment is before your export goods get loaded onto the seaways or into the airways. Then, what all kinds of money is being required to hit that particular transaction? That will be your pre shipment before the shipment is actually being done. So, pre shipment credit is being given. Credit can also be post shipment, where you have shipped the goods and then credit is being given to you. Amount of loan is being given to you. So, post shipment also you can take credit from these banks. Then you have import credits, which can also be there, so that imports can be financed, but this can be done only through issue of letter of credit. So whoever is the importing person, the importer's importer, that is a customer on behalf who's acting as an importer, that particular importer will have to take a letter of credit from the bank, and then through that particular letter of credit, he can take an import credit. Now, this particular import credit can be in the form of a cash credit or a loan, or it can be in the form of pledge or mortgage of the items which are imported. Then when these items imported get pledged or mortgage, you will get the credit. So you have the second function, credit function, where the forex market provides credit to the exporters and importers. The first one was a transfer function, where you do transfer through four mechanism: swift, chips, chaps, fed wire. The second function of the foreign market is your function which is related to credit, where credit is being given to the exporters and import to encourage foreign exchange, foreign trade, which can be either for exporting or it can be either for importing. If you're exporting, you can be getting credit, which is pre-shipment. If you're exporting, you can also get credit, which is after the shipment is being done, post-shipment. Similarly, you have credit, which is also given to the importers, where you talk about credit, which is provided in the form of a loan or in the form of a mortgage or a pledge. Then you have from where are all these foreign currencies made available? So these are all made available through different markets which are there. That means this credit, no, when the forex market is giving credit, the forex market itself also should be, having the flow of money. So from where does the forex market get its money? So the foreign currency sources for the forex market also is of different types. For example, you have international financial market. In that scenario, all the people who are wanting to borrow or lend currencies which are in US dollars, which are in any of the European currencies and all, you have a euro currency market. So euro currency market basically will specialize in borrowing and lending of dollars and other European currencies. In Europe, earlier, because European Union has been formed later and got disintegrated and then reformed. So therefore, the Europe usually talks about movement towards integration of one currency for whole of European Union, where they talk about euro. But still, in each one of the countries within Europe, you have different currencies also which are being used. You would have a franc which is being used in France and then in Paris, and then the other countries have got different again currencies, though they are trying to integrate it into euro. But still, small parts of Europe have got their own currencies which they use. So there's no one single currency which whole of Europe uses, like how whole of India uses only rupee. You don't have the whole of European Union which is using only euro, but different parts of Europe uses different currencies. And also, dollar is the most prominent, powerful currency in the world. If you say that is dollar and euro, and then you also have some of the currencies in the Gulf market, which are also very powerful. Um, You talk about Kuwaiti Riyal because they are very rich in oil resources. So even their currencies are also very powerful currencies in the world. So from where all these currencies come, if you're talking about euro currencies, then they will come from euro currency market. Then you also have, several countries which have got a specialized institution which provides credit for export import, like how you have Exim Bank in India. Likewise, in different parts of the world, different countries have got their own banks which specialize in giving credit for import export. So, like that, the money flows through Exim Bank also in India, and in other countries also. You have export import banks which are there from where the money will flow. Then the money can also flow from your bond market. Countries of the world also operate through something called as a bond market, which will provide facilities of raising long-term loans. Long-term loans, bond market you can take, individuals can take, corporate houses can take, entrepreneurs can take. You can subscribe to the bonds of, you can invest to the bonds of a particular company in the international market through your communication networks. So you have the bond market also, through which the foreign currency uh, becomes a source for them to raise. So you have, for example, you have euro bond market, where you can invest in the bonds, and then your country's currency get converted into euro, and then equivalent bonds will be issued to you. So that way you have that also as a source. Then you have all international financial institutions. They are all a source of foreign currency. When India wants to raise money in the form of dollar, euro, or yen, or any other currency of the world, they can also approach International Monetary Fund, IMF, World Bank. They can approach other institutions like Asian Development Banks. If you talk about Asian currencies which are there, that is India, Singapore, Indonesia, um, Thailand, Bangkok, Tibet, all these countries which are Southeast Asian countries and Asian countries, you have Asian development banks through which you can use. So like that, all different countries of the world have got associations also. Through those associations also, you can raise foreign currency. So they also become a source of raising foreign money, right? So we are talking about, the functions of forex market, where we said the first function of a forex market is to make transfer of money, then credit function where they raise money, and from what all are the sources from where they are raising money, these are the sources. The third function which a foreign market performs is called as hedging. If anybody has got an understanding of what is a hedge, what is hedging, the function of hedging? Hedging basically is protection against any kind of a risk. So in foreign exchange market, there is a huge amount of risk because of fluctuations in the foreign exchange rates. So therefore, this particular market also provides for hedging. That means they provide for buying and selling of currency at a rate which is currently prevailing in the market, which is called as a spot rate, or at a rate which may prevail in the market in future, which is called as forward exchange transactions. So the risk which are there in a foreign market are being reduced or are being cautioned. People can be safeguarded against the risks arising from buying and selling of foreign currency through this particular function of hedging, where they will do selling or buying and selling of foreign currency at spot rate or at forward rate, uh, where you call it as a spot transaction or a forward exchange transaction. Now, in a forward exchange transaction, what will happen? Any customer, any individual, any banker, or anybody will try to sell or buy a foreign currency. For example, I want to buy foreign currency worth rupees, worth $500, but I don't want to buy it today. I want to buy it maybe next month because I have to travel for a conference. Now, see, what happens, the scenario here is you're not buying it today, but you're going to buy it at a future date. Future date you want to buy, but the rate of exchange can be determined based on rate of exchange prevailing today. That means the rate of exchange is predetermined. So I am entering into a contract to buy foreign currency at a future date, but the rate is predetermined. The rate can be determined today only, where I am entering into the contract. But I will buy currency maybe 15 December. So when I'm traveling during 15th December, I will buy my currency at that future date only, but my rate is determined when I'm entering into the contract. So whatever may be the risk that may be associated with the fluctuation in the rate, I am safeguarded against that particular risk. It may be either ways. The rate could go up, the rate could go down. So there's always a risk which is associated there. That's called as a hedging function, where you are buying at a specified future date at a predetermined rate. That is one forward exchange market, which you call it as. And basically, such forward transactions will enable banks and enable individuals to determine how much of a foreign exchange they need, and on what date how much they need. That way the predetermination of their needs can also take place. So there is a provision which is provided in the forex market, whereby the countries of the world, individuals and banks, they can decide to buy and sell a currency at a present date at a present rate, which is called as your spot market, spot rate, where the rate whichever is prevailing on the day of transaction, if you buy and sell at that particular rate, your transaction is a spot transaction. But in case you want to safeguard yourself against the risk which may come on account of fluctuation in the foreign exchange rate, then you can decide to buy foreign currency at a predetermined rate, not immediately, but at a future date. So this function is called as a hedging function. So your forex market basically performs the function of raising, transferring money, giving credit, and providing hedge to the buyers and sellers of foreign currency. So the what we discussed so far is features. What is a forex market? What are the features of a forex market, and what are the functions of a forex market? Right now, we go towards determining what are the instruments which are used in the foreign currency transactions. That is, how do you actually go about buying, selling? When we say buying and selling, there should be some instrument which should be available to buy and sell. So how do we buy and sell? You can go buying and selling through something called as telegraphic transfer. Telegraphic transfer is one, it's like an order for payment of money, which is sent through a telegraph, or now because of communication networks, which have become very powerful, you do it through your cable networks also. You do it through your networks also. And there, banks are involved here. So there is a correspondent bank, and then there is an overseas player there and a participant. So the corresponding bank and the overseas participant will get into a transaction of a telegraphic transfer. Um, the buying bank and the selling bank, through a network, they will connect with one another, and then they will do the transfer. It's like, online transfers between banks, which will happen. That is the simplest thing to understand, telegraphic transfers, which are there. Then you have transfers which are mail transfers, where the bank which is buying or selling uh, in a particular country on behalf of an individual, they can also do the transfers through, the check may come or go through your airmail also. So like, for example, I'm instructing my bank to pay some money to somebody in London through a check. So my bank will draft a check, and then they will try to transfer the money through a mail transfer. This is one of the old methods which we currently don't use, because our online payment mechanisms have become so strong that most of the transfers are all being hit online only, but mail transfers are very rare now. You hardly use that. Then banks also transfer through their drafts and checks into the beneficiary's account, whichever is there. So drafts and checks are also being used. And then more importantly, in your foreign trade, because you're talking about giving credit facility to the importer exporter, bills of exchange are prominently used in the foreign exchange market, where you are allowing bills of exchange to be used by the importer and the exporter. And these bills of exchange are nothing but negotiable instruments, where you are promising to pay a specified rate, amount of money at a specified date in future to a specific person or a representative of that person. And this bill of exchange can be discounted with the bank in case you urgently require some money. So that way bills of exchange are also being used. Some examples are given here. How does a check demand draft look like? I'm sure almost all of you must have seen, how does it look like. So these are some of the specimens which are there related to your bank transfers, which are there. A specimen related to bill of exchange. How does a bill of exchange actually look like? So it looks like this. You see, you have the heading there, date and draft number. Then you have for whom, for what amount of money is this bill of exchange being drafted, and are you paying it to whom? So whichever is the commercial bank, you're paying it to them. And what is your letter of credit number? So your letter of credit number goes there, and then date. All these things will be there in your bill of exchange. So whenever an importer or exporter is drawing a bill of exchange, this is how the bill of exchange looks like. So you would have that also as a instrument which is used in the forex market. This is bill of exchange. Then you have letter of credit. Letter of credit is basically a document where the bank of a country can give letter of credit to an importer, whereby the importer borrows by keeping the letter of credit as a safeguard or a collateral. See, as an importer, you need money to import your goods. So when I have to import goods, this money I may not be having in hand. मैं वो करी थी. Come, one second, please. Letter of credit, where I was telling, say, for example, if I'm the importer, and as an importer, when I'm importing machinery, goods, equipments, technology from other country, I have to pay to that exporter. What in case I don't have money to pay to the exporter, then I can request a bank to give me a letter of credit based on my reputation, my business worth, my net worth, any collaterals which I may give. Some kind of a letter of credit will be given to me. I can use that particular letter of credit and show it to my exporter who would be willing to sell goods to me, and that particular letter of credit will authorize the exporter to draw a amount from his specific bank. So your bank will do a transfer to their bank, and he can show the letter of credit which is being issued to you, and you transfer it to him, and that particular person will be authorized through your letter of credit to take money from their bank. So that way, importer's bank is giving letter of credit to the importer, and the importer is authorizing the exporter through the letter of credit so that the exporter can draw money from his bank. I'm sure you're understanding the arrangement here. But there are chances of lot of fraud also happening because of letters of credit. There have been instances where, bankers were relatives to people, and because they were relatives to somebody, they issued letters of credit, and that letter of credit was used where the importer never paid back to the bank. So the bank had to suffer huge amount of NPAs, non-performing assets. We understand, right? When loans are not prepaid to the banker, both the interest and the principal amount, that particular loan will become a non-performing asset to the bank. So therefore, you have letters of credit also as an instrument which is being used in the forex market. Then you have bill of lading. Bill of lading is basically, for those of the students who have come from foreign trade, they must be knowing what is bill of lading. It's a shipping document which is being given to the exporter or to the exporter's bank by a third party called as a transport company. So because they are doing transportation, it can be a shipping corporation, it can be an aviation this thing, it can be a what do you call, in case you are using roadways to ship goods, in case your neighboring country is very close to you, and roadways are properly laid, and you can shift your goods through roadways or seaways or airways, whichever may be the transporting agency or the transporter. That particular transporter issues to you a shipping document saying that the goods are to be delivered to the importer, and there are certain charges which are to be levied. Basically, bill of lading is nothing but an evidence related to ownership of goods. So whoever is the person who is entitled to receive the goods, after the transaction happens, foreign trade happens, by showing the bill of lading, they can claim the ownership, and then they can take the goods from the transporting company. So, for example, I have sent, I am getting French perfumes from France. So when I am getting perfumes from there, now how does this shipping company know that I am the person who has to take delivery? So therefore, bill of lading will give you entitlement towards the ownership of those goods. That is also a document which is being used in the trade, foreign trade and foreign exchange market, which are being used. So right, you have those documents which are there. Now let us talk about what is this exchange rate and how does this exchange rate actually get its quotation. So the rate at which one country's currencies is bought and sold with the other country's currency is called as a exchange rate. So in foreign exchange market, you have methods of quoting that particular exchange rate. So let me show you the diagram. You have the methods there. You have a direct method and you have an indirect method. So this is a direct method where you have direct quotation. So when do you use this direct method, and then when do you use the indirect method? The first method that you use for getting the value of your foreign currency in terms of other countries' currency is your direct method, direct quotation. So here, whatever is the price of the foreign currency for 1 unit of foreign currency, whatever is your 1 unit of your currency, that equation, equating your currency with the currency of the other country, unit wise, is called as your direct quotation. So, like today, if you say this is these are just randomly taken rates, they are not current prevailing rates which are there. So if you see the value of rupee today in terms of dollar, because dollar is very powerful, and we are getting a lot of memes also on this on social media related to a value of dollars. So we all now understand how powerful dollar is in comparison to Indian rupee. So Indian rupee's value in the international market has been depleting. So as Indians, we have to shell out more money in case we want to do foreign exchange transactions. So $1, costing you a very high as on today. So you have how much of rupees do you have to shell when you have to buy a particular country's currency, so unit wise. So $1 is how much rupees? You would say, if you say as on today, the today's exchange rate which is prevailing, you have $1 is equal to 81 point change. So you basically say nearest to 82 rupees. So to buy $1 as an Indian, I have to spend 82 rupees there. So you have that calling being called as a direct quotation. Directly, whatever is the rate which is prevailing in the international market related to your currency unit, that will be called as your direct rate. That's the first method which you apply in order to get quotation. So in a foreign exchange market, when will somebody buy more or sell more? When do you buy less, or when do you sell more, depending upon your direct quotation. So in case in the foreign exchange market, for example, you are a bank, then you will buy a foreign currency at a lower rate and sell at a higher rate, because you want to have more margin there. So in case, say for example, today rate of dollar is $1 is equal to 81.6 rupees. So to, if I am anticipating that tomorrow the rate of dollar will be 82 rupees, then today I have to spend less money to buy dollar. So let me buy more dollars today, because tomorrow I may have to spend more money to buy $1. So based upon your market predictions which are there, on whichever date your country's currency you have to sell less to buy more of the other country's currency, then you start buying more on that day. So if you have these people who are your stock market analyst, foreign exchange rate analyst, who will give predictions about what movements will take place in the foreign currency market. So, based on their analysis, sometimes countries make, individuals and banks make a decision. Banks also make decisions depending upon the estimates which are given by international organizations like IMF, World Bank, ADB. From their experiences, also, you predict as to how your country's currency is going to unfold in terms of other countries' currency. So, what I will do on whichever date my country's currency, I have to spend less to buy the other country's currency. On that day, I will buy more units of the other country's currency. So my bank may be buying more of the dollars from USA. In case on that particular day, I have to spend 71.9 rupees. This is just a random example. Today's rate, if you see, it is 81.6, 6766. So that way, if I have to buy dollars today, then for today, you have to spend 81.67. But if I am expecting that tomorrow the rate may go up to 82, then I better buy more dollars today by giving less Indian currency. And then in case I want to reverse it, that means I have dollars with me and I want to sell those dollars in the market, then it is better that I sell today because today's rate is higher when compared to the tomorrow's rate. So that way, I'll have to take a decision based upon direct quotation. I hope you are able to follow this, where directly based upon whatever is the quotation in the market, I will choose to buy or I will choose to sell the money in the foreign exchange market. That is first one, direct quotation. Second one is indirect quotation. Indirect quotation is one where the number of units of the foreign currency are expressed in terms of, per unit in your home currency. Like earlier one was what earlier one said, $1 is equal to so many rupees. Now you are saying so many rupees are equal to these many dollars. It's just the reverse of it, where home country's currency is kept constant and other countries' currency is expressed in terms of your home country's currency. I may take a base in the home country's currency and I may say a base of 100 rupees, but 100 being too less, I may take a base of 1000 rupees, say for example. So when I am taking a base of 1000 rupees, then how much can 1000 rupees buy? How many dollars can 1000 rupees buy? So assuming that, one dollar is 81.67. So if I have 1000 rupees with me, 81.67 today, 1000 divided by 81.67. So I will be able to buy only around 12 $12 as on today. So what are you doing? You are having a base figure for your currency, the number of units, 1000 rupees or 100 rupees. And then other countries' currency you're expressing in terms of that uh, units which are kept constant. So here you are given examples of 100 rupees. How much can 100 rupee get me in terms of dollars? How much can 100 rupee get me in terms of pounds? How much can 100 rupee get me in terms of euro? So say for example, I'm not buying foreign currency for any specific purpose. I'm not traveling. I am not investing. I'm not having a specific purpose for buying foreign currency, but my purpose is only to make money, profit out of buying and selling the foreign currency. So when my intention is like that, then I will check how much of money if I have to spend in terms of my currency to buy which one. So out of all three which are listed here, dollar is paying me highest. So then that means I have to spend 100 rupees to buy 2.5 US dollars. I have to 100 rupees if I am buying 1.5 pounds only. So that way you make a comparison and then decide which one you want to buy if you have to spend 100 rupees, whether you will buy pounds, whether you will buy dollars, whether you will buy euro. Say for example, if I'm traveling for studies and I have to make a decision of whether I have to travel to US or whether I have to travel to UK or whether I'm traveling to Europe, then based on that I can determine the purchasing power of my currency and say that I have applied to all three countries universities, and then they, based upon how much of money you have to pay your tuition fee expenses and all, now you can make a choice of which university you want to go to by in terms of money also, how much money do I have to spend if I have to study in those countries of the world. So that way this will be the indirect method. Direct method is 1 rupee $1. Indirect method is you keep your Indian currency or home currency constant, and then other countries currency you express in terms of that particular country's currency, or that way you call it as indirect quotation. So here, what will happen in this method is the banker will buy foreign currency at a higher price from a customer, and he will sell at a lower price to another customer. So you have given example there, 100 rupees, the bank may quote that, for 100 rupees, the bank may quote the selling rate of dollar to be 2 and the buying rate of dollar to be 2.33. So if I have 100 rupees with me, then with that 100 rupees that I have, then the bank may ask me whether I am buying dollar or whether I am selling dollar. So based on that, they will decide the buying rate and the selling rate which will be there. But from in India, this method is no longer adopted because you are adopting only direct method. 1 rupee is equal to how much of other countries' currency. You are not making constant. That is 100,000 base you are not taking, but it is a direct 1 unit quotation. So 1 unit, $1, 1 rupee, $1, sorry, $1, how many rupees? €1, how many rupees? £1, how many rupees? 1 sterling, how many rupees? 1 yen, how many rupees? So different countries' currency directly expressed in terms of Indian currency, direct method. Indirect method is stopped used from the year 1993, but in some countries of the world you have indirect method also used, like London. In some countries you use both the method depending upon the situation, whether it is direct or indirect. Both can be used. Right. Next, let us come to foreign exchange quotations. Expression. Price of one country's currency, how it is expressed in terms of other country's currency. Now, in case two parties are there who are simply doing exchange, then it is called as an outright transaction. One party, say for example, I am there from India and somebody is there in US, then directly we both are trading, exchanging money, currencies, then that is an outright transaction. One party gives one currency to another, other party gives currency. So you are exchanging money for money. It is as simple as that. Exchange of money for money, outright transaction. This particular outright transaction of giving money for money can take place in two ways. One is called as a spot rate, one is called as a forward delivery. Spot delivery is one where exchange is taking place immediately as currently prevailing. So if I am buying today, 24th November at 11:15 a.m., if I am buying dollars from somebody, whatever is the rate prevailing in the market at today's date, this time, at that rate I will buy, that will be called as a spot transaction. Whatever is prevailing at that point of time when the transaction is being entered into, that is called as a spot transaction, which will be there. In case the delivery currency is being delivered at a later date, not immediately, then that will be called as a forward delivery, which will be there. So the delivery of the foreign currency happens at a later date. So forward transaction. Let us understand in a much better way what are these transactions which are there. When banks are doing spot market transactions, these spot market transactions are also being done in the same way as to how individuals would do it. So whoever are the in case banks are engaging any kind of intermediaries who are there like brokers and all, then through them they will do, or directly through their wire transfers, that is through online method, they would do spot market transactions. Banks can also do something called as bid or ask, bid or ask for spread. Here what will happen is a bank will give two quotations to the foreign currency, which will be called as a buy quote and which will be called as a sell quote. Buy, when you're quoting something to buy, that is called as a bid. When you're quoting something to sell, that is called as ask. These are the terms which are used in forex market. Bid when you are buying, and ask when you're quoting selling, when you're quoting a rate for selling. So bank will give two quotations: bid quotation to buy a foreign currency and ask quotation to sell a foreign currency. Then the bank may bid less or the bank may bid more than your ask. So it can be either ways. It all depends upon why the bank is buying, for whom the bank is buying, how much that client is ready to give or take. It all depends on that. So this is between banks of different countries who are buying and selling. So banks will charge a commission for doing this transaction. So they also want to buy at the lowest rate. So they will do, they will give a quotation for buying. Similarly, they will give a quotation also for selling. This need not be at a prevailing rate. This need not be at a prevailing rate, which is there, right? So that is also a part of it. Bid or ask for spread. Then you have cross exchange rates, where currencies values are expressed in terms of relative to dollar. So, for example, if in case you want, there's a example quoted here. You have a Canadian firm, and the Canadian firm may be wanting to buy something from Italy. So Italian currency is lero. So when the Canadian firm wants to buy something from Italy, through spending Italian liro, then it wants to know what is the relative value of Italian liro to your Canadian dollar. That is nothing but your cross exchange rate. Same. In knowing what is whichever is a non-dollar currency, not a dollar currency here. Dollar here is not US dollar here, but any other currency which is relative to dollar. Like you have different countries of the world which are using their modified currencies, which are drawing its value from dollar. So they will be called by their respective countries currencies. Like in Canada you use dollar only, but it is not US dollar that you're using, it is Canadian dollar which you're using. So the derivation part of it comes from US dollar only, but it is not US dollar that you're transacting there, but it is Canadian dollar which you're transacting there. So what happens here, that particular currency is relative to dollar. So that is called as cross exchange rate. When one country's currency is derived based on the country's currency of other country, most powerful in the world is dollar. So that way you would the whole of Russia Ukraine war also is because of all this mechanism only. When why is it that USA is more powerful than any other country in the world? Mostly because of, I hope you understand the background there, because why Russia Ukraine war also took place. It is all because of the dynamics of international trade, where one country is superpower and the other country wants to become a superpower. US has been superpower since many years. There are other countries which want to overtake USA as a superpower, and USA has become superpower not by selling their own products, but by buying products from other countries and selling them in their dollars. So, for example, oil. When you are buying oil, though the oil-rich countries are, your Gulf countries, but oil is not traded in their currency. Oil is traded in the currency in dollar. So how much dollars will India spend to buy 1 barrel, or to buy 1,000 tons? So like that you calculate liters, you calculate the value of crude oil or petroleum and all in terms of dollars only. That's how all countries are paying in dollars, and they are buying all these international commodities like petroleum and all that. What Russia said was, why should we buy in dollar? We will buy in our currency, petros. So that is how the whole, the background to that entire war, where you don't want US to be more powerful than, you don't want it to be superpower anymore, but you want your country also to emerge as one of the superpowers of the world, and hence the war because of that. So future wars also, we say, they are all based on natural resources. So whoever has more of natural resources, they will be the superpowers of the world. So water, petroleum, any natural resource, whoever has it, they can establish supremacy over the other countries in the world. Right. That was just a general discussion that we had, because we are talking about cross exchange rate. Then you have appreciation and depreciation in the value of currency. You see, Indian rupee is so badly depreciating now on account of its value in the international market. Day on and day on, we are shelling more money to buy more Indian currency, to buy more less of foreign countries currency. So earlier, if you say dollar was only 66 rupees, 67 rupees, it would fluctuate, but now it has gone up to 80, and predictions are also there by that by the end of next year it would also touch 92, 93 rupees. So that way, value of Indian currency is going on depleting. You will need more Indian money to buy foreign currencies. So value of your currency, that is the purchasing power of your currency in terms of other countries' currency, always fluctuates. So in case if it goes high, that means a currency has appreciated, where it is the ability of the currency to buy more of foreign currency. So we call it as appreciation. That means Indian currency can now buy more of dollar. So which means that value of Indian currency has gone up. In case more Indian currency is needed to buy lesser dollar, then your value has depreciated. So that way you can have appreciation and depreciation of currency. More money, your more of home country's currency needed to buy a foreign country currency. It means value of your currency went down, depreciated. Less of your currency is needed to buy more of other countries' currency, then value of your currency has gone up, which is called appreciation. So you can have appreciation also and depreciation also. Now, how do all these exchange rates get determined? How do we know that $1, $1 is equal to 81.67 rupees? How do we know that rate? So there are determination of exchange rates. Any questions so far? Because this is again entering into another topic which is there. Right. How are exchange rates determined? You have two basic theories which are backing the determination of exchange rate. One is the purchasing power parity theory, and one is the balance of payments theory. The purchasing power parity theory, as the very word says, purchasing power. So exchange rate of one currency is determined depending upon the strength of each unit of that currency in terms of how much can it buy, what can it buy, and how much can it buy. So depending upon purchase power, where we assume that the theory basically says has certain assumptions to it. It assumes that there is no what do you call barriers to trade. Countries of the world are free to trade, so there are no barriers for them, and also there are no other transaction cost. So whatever is the price of a commodity prevailing in one country, the price of the commodity should be same in the other country in their currency terms. So say, for example, if one mango is costing me 20 rupees here in India, then convert 20 rupees into dollars. The mango should cost same in US also. Or one basket of vegetables is costing me 1,000 rupees here. Same basket should cost me $12 in US, because 1,000 rupees is equal to $12. So what are we assuming here? We are assuming that there are no trade barriers. We are assuming that there are no transaction costs. And in the absence of such things, whatever is the rate prevailing, price of a commodity prevailing in one country, the price of the commodity in the other country in terms of their currency should be same. We are not saying in international currency. Don't get confused here. If one basket of vegetables is being bought by me in India by 1,000 rupees, same basket of vegetables should be bought by me if I was in US by spending $12, because $12 is equal to 1,000 rupees. That is what is the assumption here, where there are no barriers to trade. That means there is no entry barrier restriction and all. Countries can freely trade, and there are no transaction costs, because if transaction costs are there, that gets added again to the price of the commodity. So price of the commodity expressed in terms of one country's currency should be exactly same expressed in terms of other country's currency if you're buying the same commodity. That is what is your purchase power parity theory. So here there's an example also given. Computer in India, in New York, or in Hong Kong should be same. So if I'm spending 30,000 to buy a computer system in India, I should be spending 415 US dollars. I should be spending 3,322 Hong Kong money that is Hong Kong dollars when I am spending in buying a computer in Hong Kong, which ultimately means that 30,000 Indian rupees is equal to $415, which should be equal to your 3,322 Hong Kong dollars. So this is called as your purchasing power parity theory. If you have any issues in understanding, stop, because this is quite technical. So don't proceed with doubts in your mind. So purchasing power parity theory, this is the first one, continuation of this. How does it get determined? So you have a formula for determining. You don't have problems to work out, as I said yesterday also. It is only to remember how the theory supports the determination of prices there. So you have price of one currency is based upon basket of goods. What can the currency buy? Not actually what the currency is against the other country's currency. What can my currency buy? Based on that, I express its value. So what can rupees buy? What can dollars buy? Based on that, I express the value of rupees and I express the value of this one, dollars. So here you have the formula for that. Index numbers are being used to determine purchase power parity. So you have rates of different countries. If you see the previous slide, we said here uh, this all is equal. So we said 3,000 rupees is equal to dollars. So here this formula also says the same thing. Equilibrium exchange rate, ER. This should be equal to exchange rate for the reference period. Exchange rate for reference period means whatever is your rate which is prevailing as on the day of transaction. So if you're referring August, if you're referring September, or if you're referring November, then as on that date, whatever is your exchange rate, that becomes your reference period. So you have ER, which is your equilibrium rate, which is equal to EX, which is the reference period rate, which is determined in terms of PD by PF. So ER is equal to EX multiplied by PD by PF, where PD is nothing but price of domestic currency, that is domestic price index, and your PF is foreign currency price index. So it's very simple to understand this particular formula here. How do you determine, as I said, how do you determine 30,000 rupees is $415? You determine by applying this formula here. Exchange rate in the reference period, domestic currencies price index, foreign currencies price index. Keeping this in this equation, you will get the purchase power parity theory, which will determine the equilibrium exchange rate of foreign countries' currencies which are there. This is first theory which is backing your foreign currency transactions. Second theory, which tells you about the forex transactions or determination of exchange rate, is your balance of payments theory. This is also called as demand and supply theory, where depending upon demand of a currency in the market, the supply of the currency in the market, the rate of the currency will get determined based on the demand and supply. So it is not about how much it can buy, but it is about how much is the money, how much is that currency demanded, not what the currency can buy. The purchase power parity theory was what can money buy in India, what can money buy in US. So if I'm spending 30,000 rupees to buy a computer in India, I should be spending $400 to buy the computer in US. So what can the currency buy was your purchase power parity. This theory is about what is the demand of relative currencies in different countries. So what is the demand of dollar? What is the supply of dollar? What is the demand of rupees? What is the supply of rupees? So depending on the demand and supply of a currency of a particular country, the balance of payment position of that country will be determined, because balance of payment position is nothing but receipts and payments. Previous class we discussed what is balance of payments. We talked about what is this called, visible trade, invisible trade, and services. So when you are dealing in visible trade, invisible trade, and services, and exchanging all these things between countries, you are paying in foreign country's currency, you are receiving in your country's currency. So what is the demand for your country's currency and what is the supply of your country's currency? Based on that, balance of payment position will be determined, and based on the balance of payment position only, value of currency also will be determined. So if your balance of payment is negative, that means you have a deficit. Payments are more than receipts. Then your value of your currency will fall compared to the foreign currency. That is exactly what is happening with India. India has more of payments which they have to make in terms of foreign currency than compared to more of receipts which they have to receive. Because payments are more in terms of foreign currency, there is a deficit. Because of that deficit, value of Indian rupee is low in the market, international market. So here, how is the value determined? It is not determined based on what it can buy, but it is determined based upon what is the demand and the supply of the currency in the international market. So in international market, balance of payments position of India is that we have a deficit because we have more payments to make rather than more receipts to get. So when we have more payments to make, naturally the value of our currency is not demanded in the international market, but we want more of other countries' currencies. So their demand will be high. and our supply is not, our demand is not high, though our supply is there. So therefore, the value of our currency will go down because the balance of payments position is negative there. So here you are not determining based on purchasing power, but you are determining based upon demand and supply of your currency. That way, exchange rates are determined. These are the two mechanisms through which exchange rates can be determined, right? Then what is exchange control? Now, when you leave things to the market forces, there is every possibility that more of risks may come. So it is essential that governments of countries have to interfere in exchange control. So directly or indirectly, when the government of country monitors the international payments and monitors the like in yesterday's news, there was this ED, the enforcement directorate having to raid a particular Indian company which was an MNC, and the raid took place based upon the doubt which the central bank had, because these people were not making payments directly to the vendors, but they were depositing money in a third party's account, which was in UAE, and that party was making payments to the vendor. So there was a doubt as to why there was no direct payment which was being made, because countries' currencies are playing a role there. So they, because on that doubt, they raided the offices and they found that, because of personal motives of enriching the chairmans there, the transactions were diverted in the international market because, to UAE, that is in Dubai, and it was being diverted there. So you have governments of the countries who have to keep a close watch on how, otherwise, when in foreign currency, if there is no close watch on how movement of currency is happening between countries of the world, you will have black money which can get easily converted into white. So your parallel economy and the mainstream economy will go together, which will be having a very disastrous result. That's how you see ED and the CBI and all, they conduct a lot of raids when they have doubts as to why is the country company getting money, from where are they getting money, what is the purpose of getting money, is it antisocial, is it terroristic, is it conversion of black money white money, is it money laundering. All these suspicions will be there, so based on that they conduct raids. So it is very essential that governments of countries have to control the exchange rates. Otherwise, countries of the world and the individuals within the country, the citizens will make use of this no interference, and then they will do transactions which can be beneficial to themselves rather to the country as such. So interference will be there from the government side, which is nothing but exchange control. So government of a country intervening directly or indirectly in the international payments and receipts, and having the authority to buy and sell this particular thing will be called as your foreign exchange control. So you have foreign exchange rate mechanisms which are there. Then you have these exchange rate systems which are classified on the degree to which the governments are controlling the exchange rates. So if the governments are controlling the exchange rate to a greater extent or a less extent, depending on that, you will have government, means government will control through the central banks. They will control through their agencies. So if the control is more or high or less or greater, then depending on that, you have exchange rates which are fixed exchange rates, floating exchange rates, managed float, or pegged exchange rates. These four can be used as exchange rates in case, depending upon what kind of a control mechanism the government has got. And also the governments of countries also interfere depending upon your convertibility. Earlier what used to happen was, all the countries of the world were using something called as a gold standard. So each country had their gold currency, coins. Along with their paper currency, coins also were there, and what is the weight of the coin? They would weigh it in terms of gold and then determine their value with the other country's currency. So if, say, for example, if I am making a gold coin of Indian rupee by using 0.75 grams of gold, for example, and if US is making $1, which is gold coin, This was very long back, I'm telling. This was centuries ago. It is not there now. Centuries ago, when countries of the world had rule by monarchs and kings and kingdoms were there and colonies were there, we are talking about that era. Currently, this is not there because gold reserves of almost all the countries are depleting. You don't have gold which is being used to make coins now. It was used earlier. So now we don't make use of gold to make coins. So at that point of time, how did they determine the convertibility of currency? It was based upon gold standard. So how much of a gold goes into making 1 rupee in India? How much of a gold goes into making $1 in US? Based on that, you would convert the country's currency because gold was acting as a legal tender money at that point of time. The coins were acting as a legal tender money. This was erstwhile. Now we don't have this. Then after this came the Bretton Woods system, where the governments took help of International Monetary Fund, IMF. They took help of in order to withdraw any money which was identified as a quota against a particular country. See, in IMF, what happens is we have last unit also to do with international agencies. So when member nations are there in IMF, they do lending and borrowing. So each country will be given a quota that you can borrow only to this extent. So when they are given quota, then they will borrow against the quota whichever is there. And in case they want more money against the quota, then they will go for a current account. Like how, for example, you we have accounts in banks, no? So businesses, they have a current account. So on their current account, even if there is zero balance, they can still overdraw. Overdraft can be done in case they need some money for working capital, trade transactions, and all that. They can overdraw on their current account. Same way, as a country, when India has been given some quota in IMF and you want more money to be drawn, then you can go for overdraft current account, which will be there, and overdrawing more money. This was in the Bretton Woods system, where you were using, where governments of the world banked upon IMF for exchange of currency. Then you have those two as the systems which are there. Then you have now the currency convertibility, which is there. That is possibility of converting your money into other countries' money at a determined rate. Here you have two types of accounts. You have a current account convertibility and you have a capital account convertibility. Current account means all receipts and payments which are happening on account of visible trade, that is merchandise. Your goods which you can touch, see, feel, these are all visible trade. So on account of your merchandise, whatever receipts and payments you are making, they will belong to your current account. So for a country to go in for convertibility of their rupee, from 1992 onwards, we said that Indian rupee is partially convertible. That means, say for example, if in our trade, if we have 60% of our receipts which are to come, then up to 60% only we can convert in foreign currency. Remaining 40% will be given to RBI at an official rate, which will be fixed by RBI. So full 100% you cannot convert. This is called as current account convertibility, where complete, say for example, if I have to receive $1 million, where I sold to an importer in USA, the importer has to pay me $1 million. Full $1 million can I convert in Indian currency? That is what is your current account convertibility. So you cannot convert full $1 million into your currency, but you can convert only 60%. Remaining 40%, RBI will give you a rate, and you can convert at that rate only. This is called as a liberalized exchange rate management system, LERMS. This is applicable only for current account convertibility. So all those people who want to become entrepreneurs and want to sell to foreign countries in future, you have to remember this, that all your receipts which you're receiving on account of your sale merchandise, completely you cannot 100% you cannot convert. So if I tell that, I'm a manufacturer of spices and I'm selling spices to foreign countries and I am making $1 million in international market, RBI and central government will not permit you to convert full $1 million into Indian currency. You can convert only 60% based upon the exchange rate. Remaining 40% will be based upon the rate as given by the Reserve Bank. This is only on your current account. But in case you have capital account, which also includes your other than merchandise, any other transaction, that is your invisible trade services also, then in that particular case, from 1997 onwards, following the recommendations of the Tarapur committee, they said that, capital account convertibility also should be given. So very cautiously, now India is moving towards capital account convertibility also. But current account convertibility, 60:40 ratio we use. Then you have the Association of Foreign Exchange Dealers in India, which was being formed, where you have RBI approving it in the year 1958, and this was established as a Section 5 companies under the Companies Act, where basically, they are the players who are doing buying and selling of your foreign currency. They have got offices in other cities also, but their head office is in Mumbai. That means this is related to dealers. We studied in the beginning of the class who are the participants in the forex market. So we said brokers and dealers are also participants in the forex market. So for brokers and dealers, you have got an association called FEDI, Foreign Exchange Dealers Association, which is there. So all your dealers will be registered under them and they will work. And they have this management, chairman, vice chairman, additional vice chairman, managing committee, and they will perform all the functions. They have to abide by the rules which are being given. They have to follow RBI guidelines. They have to follow guidelines given under the Companies Act, and they have their functioning which can happen. Right. So this is about your topics which are related to forex, exchange control, exchange rate determination, theories which are supporting your foreign exchange currency determination, spot rate, forward rate, um, um, purchase power parity theory, balance of payments theory, role and functions of forex, features or the characteristics of forex, and your capital account and current account convertibility and FEDI. Right. So today's session we have devoted towards this thing. Uh, if you see your getting back to your material, we have global monitoring system, bilateral, multilateral trade agreements. So if sir is giving me a session in the afternoon, we will complete these two in the afternoon. What is FDI? What is FII, FBI? The global monetary systems and the agreements which are there. Tomorrow, then we can take two sessions and wind up your last block. So shall I take the second afternoon session also, sir? Okay, I'll find out from him, and if it is scheduled, I'll connect again. He told 2:30 to 4:30, so let us see if that works out. I'll connect again, and we'll complete your block 4, which is to do with your foreign investment and trade agreements. Tomorrow we'll take a block 5, so that way we'll try to wind up. And thank you for this session. Bye, everyone.
हेलो।
हाँ चंदन भाई,
असाइनमेंट लिखना शुरू किए सर?
क्या सर?
असाइनमेंट लिखना शुरू किए आप?
नहीं नहीं किया था, अभी वो वेबसाइट में अपलोड करे बात करेंगे।
अपलोड करने के बाद करेंगे, क्यों?
कुछ चेंजेस कर दिए तो क्या करते साहब, लिख के फायदा नहीं रहता ना।
कोई चेंजेस नहीं होता, टाइमिंग कम है ना अपने पास।
आप कर दिए?
नहीं, हम भी शुरू करेंगे आज या कल से, क्योंकि वो डीन ने भेजा है ना, ग्रुप में डीन ने भेजा और डीन बोला कि कंफर्म है वो।
हम्म।
तो फिर टेंशन क्यों ले रहे हैं आप? स्टार्ट कर दीजिए लिखना।
क्या है कि देखेंगे, वो 2 असाइनमेंट्स कंप्लीट करना है ना।
हाँ, दो,
नहीं
सेकंड और
सर,
थर्ड।
थर्ड सेमेस्टर के बुक्स नहीं आए ना अभी।
वो भी आ जाते इस मंथ के एंड में आ जाते। दीदी ने 10 डेज वो भी रिसीव हो जाते।
कॉलेज में दे रहे लोग या फिर
नहीं नहीं, पोस्ट में आ
एड्रेस
जाता है। 10 डेज में,
डिस्पैच
10 डेज
करते हैं?
में डिस्पैच कर देते, 10 डेज में आ जाता है आपके पास।
हम्म।
देखिए अब।
कि वो ये समझ पा रिजल्ट ही नहीं आया अभी तक फर्स्ट
रिजल्ट
सेमेस्टर।
भी आ जाता है, रिजल्ट भी आ जाता है, देखिए ना, फरवरी तक थर्ड सेमेस्टर खत्म हो जाता है विद रिजल्ट ऑलरेडी।
फरवरी तक 3 असाइनमेंट्स खत्म हो जाते हैं सेमेस्टर।
हाँ, तीनों का